Some hotel chains tried removing that chair. Guest satisfaction scores dropped, not dramatically, but measurably, consistently across multiple brands and properties. And when guests were asked what felt off, they couldn't point to the chair. They just said the room felt cold, impersonal, like a storage unit with a mattress, one chair, every hotel room on Earth. And guests noticed when it was gone, even though they didn't know it was there. The internet decided it was sinister. It got a nickname, the cuck chair, and spawned hundreds of memes about what it was supposedly placed there to watch. The real explanation is less dramatic, but it goes back over a century, and it says something surprising about how hotels think about the space you sleep in. To understand the chair, you need to understand how the modern hotel room was invented. In 1908, a man named Ellsworth Statler opened a hotel in Buffalo, New York. Most hotels at the time were wildly inconsistent. Some luxurious, some barely habitable, almost none predictable. Statler decided to fix that. Every room in a Statler hotel had a private bathroom, a light switch by the door, a full-length mirror. These things sound basic now. In 1908, they were radical. His approach was simple. Study what guests actually need. Build it into every room. Repeat exactly. His template spread across America and eventually across the world. The modern hotel room, its layout, its furniture, its logic, descends almost directly from decisions Statler made over a century ago. And the guiding principle was ruthless. If guests used it, it stayed. If they didn't, it went. Every object had to earn its place. The real pressure on hotel room design came after World War II. Business travel exploded in the late 1940s and 1950s. By 1955, American Airlines was carrying 10 times more passengers than it had in 1945. Hotels weren't just places people slept anymore. They were places people worked, ate, made calls, and prepared for the next day. A room with just a bed was no longer enough. Hotels added desks, televisions, coffee makers, luggage racks, and somewhere to sit that wasn't a mattress. But floor space in urban hotels was expensive. Every square foot had a cost. So designers were ruthless about what stayed. The desk survived because business travelers used it constantly. The luggage rack survived because a suitcase on the floor was impractical. And the chair survived even when designers questioned it, even when accountants tried to cut it, because guests kept using it in ways that weren't immediately obvious. What those ways were took designers a surprisingly long time to fully understand. Here's the thing about the hotel chair that took a long time to articulate clearly. It's not primarily for working. The desk handles that. It's not for watching television. The bed is closer and more comfortable. The chair exists to give you somewhere to be a person rather than a body in a bed. You sit in it to take your shoes off when you arrive, to eat a takeout meal without getting sauce on the duvet, to make a call without lying down, to sit quietly for a moment after a long flight before deciding what to do next, to lay out your clothes for tomorrow where you can actually find them. Hospitality designers call this zoning, dividing a hotel room into distinct areas for different activities, even in a small space. The bed is the sleep zone. The desk is the work zone. The chair creates what designers call the relaxation zone. It's the only furniture in the room whose entire job is to signal, you can exist here as a full human being, not just as someone waiting for tomorrow. Remove it, and that signal disappears. The room still functions, but something feels missing, which is exactly what the data showed. In the 2000s and 2010s, as budget brands pushed to cut costs and use space more efficiently, some hotel chains removed the chair entirely. The logic was sound. The chair cost money to buy, clean, repair, and replace. It took up floor space in rooms that were already small. and surveys suggested many guests never consciously used it. But when those rooms went live, something showed up in the satisfaction data that nobody had predicted. Scores dropped, not dramatically, but measurably, consistently across multiple properties and brands. And when guests were asked what felt off, they rarely mentioned the chair. They just described the room as cold, impersonal, like a storage unit with a mattress. The chair came back, not because guests consciously valued it, because its absence changed how the entire room felt. And guests registered that feeling even when they couldn't identify its source. That's a strange kind of power for an uncomfortable piece of furniture to have. Which brings us to the question the internet got fixated on. If the chair is doing all of this, why does it always end up facing the bed? The answer is almost disappointingly practical. The bed takes up anywhere from a third to half the total floor space. What remains after placing the bed, the desk, the door, the bathroom, the window, and the air conditioning unit is a limited set of positions. When you place a chair in whatever open space is left, it almost always ends up angled toward the bed. Not because a designer made a deliberate creative choice, because physics and square footage didn't leave many other options. In rooms where the television is mounted on the wall opposite the bed, the chair ends up facing both simultaneously, which makes it genuinely useful for watching TV and having a conversation. The position that looks suspicious in a meme turns out to be the most functional option in the available space. So that chair in your hotel room, the one the internet decided was sinister. It survived Ellsworth Statler's ruthless standardization process in 1908. It survived the post-war business travel revolution that turned hotel rooms into temporary offices. It survived cost-cutting experiments that proved, measurably, that removing it made guests feel worse in ways they couldn't even explain. It's slightly uncomfortable because it was designed for 20 minutes, not 2 hours. It faces the bed because the bed left no other space. And it's in every hotel room on Earth because removing it turned out to be more expensive than keeping it. The most carefully engineered things are usually the most boring. Because boring means they're working. The chair isn't there because someone thought it looked nice. It's there because over a century of guests proved they needed it, even the ones who never sat in it. That's what we do at Unknown Behind Known Things. Find what's really going on inside the things you ignore every day. Subscribe for more, and tell us in the comments, have you ever actually sat in the hotel chair?